Once our collapsible wood-fired stoves had been made out of recycled material, and the collapsible racks that go inside of them, and the recycled 15-gallon stainless steel soup pots were built, and the entire frame of our 1,400 square foot field kitchen was produced, primarily out of recycled drilling equipment, we began setting up the field kitchen in front of a building sheltering 100 refugees. Racing the clock to get the thing set up, Chris and I worked in spite of the weather. We went over and over every aspect of the design of the frame in the 2 years since the previous edition was used in Tijuana. And we already established there that we could set up the entire structure very quickly by pulling it upright with vehicles.
Yeah, it's already a foot and a half off the ground.
But instead we set up this tent by hand to demonstrate the procedure that would be necessary for setting up the additional tents in more remote or devastated locations.
How's that foot doing back there, you think?
Using come-alongs, carabiners, winches, and a business worth of tow straps, the two of us set up the frame on that wet lawn and made an hour-long instructional video as we did it, so that teams of people could make these field kitchens simultaneously all around Ukraine. So with only simple tools, 2 skilled people can put up the frame in 1 day. You're doing a great job. Really wadding that up there. Dude, nice job. This Oculus at the top receives a foot-wide stove stack venting 6 wood-fired stoves that make 75 gallons of food or boiled water without the need for fossil fuels.
Lucid is bracing the winch with his hip so it doesn't rotate on the pull.
Made out of commonly available recycled material, the tent is designed to be the lightest and cheapest to build structure that will deflect a fierce blizzard and shed a snow load for many years. Once the frame was up, Aloka expertly navigated the translations and negotiations to solve the last-minute complication with the cover. Each of the 3 sections of the cover were so large that they had to be folded in half just to fit on the floor of the facility. Then as we boarded the trains on October 9th to leave Ukraine, the news started to come in.
Russia has launched its broadest attack on Ukraine since the start of the war. At least 14 people were killed and 97 injured. The nation's energy system has been crippled, with 5 regions completely in the dark.
Ukrainian officials say Russian forces have targeted critical energy infrastructure.
In total, Russian missiles hit at least 19 Ukrainian cities, from Lviv in the west to Kharkiv in the east to Zaporizhia in the southeast. Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin called the strikes a response to Saturday's explosion on the only bridge linking Russia with occupied Crimea.
After 10 days of kamikaze drone strikes, Kenai, Yashuda, and Sakshi Gopal began to raise the 3 sections of the cover 23 feet up into the air and tie each 120-pound section down onto the frame. And the final lacing for the cover of this first kitchen culminated 6 months of manufacturing preparation. Vasudev and Arjuna came to help put in the floor. Each tent receives a slightly different floor according to the situation, but this one received a pallet floor to create adequate drainage on the flat terrain, and so it would be easily transportable in case that we needed to move the entire kitchen. And when painted plywood is laid on top, the entire kitchen becomes a cover production facility to lower the cost of making each additional kitchen.
I was just working, finishing the floor inside of the tent, and then I heard the first explosion. I came out, I heard the second explosion, then I looked behind the tent and I saw the big pile of smoke. And right in this moment, while I started to record the video, shot the video, there came the third explosion.
You could feel the shock wave come through. And you could see it in the tent as it went through. You could feel it. You could see it like wave.
Ukrainian Air Force says about 100 Russian missiles have been fired at cities across Ukraine, hitting Kyiv, Kharkiv, Lviv, as well as others. Officials say the country is bracing for more attacks.
This has been perhaps the worst, or the second worst, salvo and attempt to break the back of the power generating, the energy infrastructure of this country, which, as winter is now setting in, of course, affects not just the power supply, but the water supply, and of course, ultimately heating.
And so they destroyed the electric station, and now the whole city is blackout. There is no light at all. Here I will switch off my light so you can see there's almost no light in the whole city, just the light that came from the cars.